non più tra I farfalloni amoroso, notte e giorno di torno.
Welcome to March, everybody. I have so many exciting books to read this month. So we've got Maybe You Should Talk to Somebody, This Is Where the World Ends, Reignited, which is the novella for the Reawakened trilogy by Colleen Houck. I'm going to be rereading Poison Study, and I've got the Guernsey Literary Potato Peel Pie Society, and I've just started reading Malice. So I'm starting off on a good foot by actually reading a book off my TBR, and that is off the back of a decision that I've made is I'm going to pull back a little bit from the amount of books I'm reviewing for publishers. I've been finding it really overwhelming and stressful, and so I've sent an email or two out just to sort of pull back a bit. I don't think I'll really feel those effects until a month or two later, because obviously I've got books that I want to read for March, etc. I do have the book club pick of the month for Harlequin, which is A Family of Strangers by Fiona Lowe, and I also have the book club pick of the month for my local book club, which is League of Liars by Astrid Schultz. I'll show you that one because I've got it to hand. That's this book here, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. So the Fiona Lowe book I think will be amazing. I love Fiona Lowe and I'm excited about that one. So welcome to March, and let's see how things go. My sort of plan of action is I'm going to try and read all of my TBR before I even look at other books, book club books or reviewing books. March is going to be about me. Same day later on, I've just finished reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and oh my goodness, that was a fantastic book. I can't process how amazing that was, and it was all the more fascinating the fact that I didn't think that this book was going to do it for me in the way that it seems to have done it for everyone else until the very last lines. Not even the last page, the very last lines. I was sitting there in the car listening to the audiobook going, I like it, I don't love it, it's not blowing my mind, like it's a nice story, it's a cute story, there's like an interesting thing going on, and then I just got it. In the last page, it all just unravels, and you can finally see where this whole thing has been going, and this game that Schwab has been playing with you for the entire book, which I should have seen coming because V.E. Schwab is a writer who does that, and suddenly it's just like, oh my god, I get it, I get why people are so obsessed with this book. The book, yeah, 5 stars. I was sitting firmly in the 4-star camp until that last page, and then that just pulled me straight over the line, and I thought, yeah, this is a story, this is how you tell a story that just is so satisfying to read and engage with, and just has you wanting more from that author because it was just brilliant. I loved it. I really, really loved it. And like the longer, not that it's been very long since I finished, but the longer it's been since finishing, the more I'm just like, oh my god, that was just pure genius. That was incredible. That was such a well-structured story. I just can't get over it. It was magnificent. So that's my update for today. So that's a good outcome for day 2 of March, being the 2nd of March. I have started reading Malice today, and I am still reading through The Goblet of Fire. I'm going to start reading the second Bridgerton novel on audiobook tomorrow, so we will see out of all those which one I get to finish first. Small early morning and excessively bright update. First of all, I'm frozen. We dropped like 10 degrees over the last couple of days, from like 35 degrees to 25 Celsius. I'm going to start listening to the second Bridgerton book today. So the Viscount something. I have no idea what it's called. So that's going to be fun. So I'm in for some good car rides this week. Otherwise, no other updates. I've read maybe the first 50 pages of Malice, and I've read past the first 100 in The Goblet of Fire. So I'll check in with you later. I think the hilarious thing is that I'm actually working from home today, and this is the current state of my desk. It's not great, but anyway, I just thought I would share this with you guys because I thought that was pretty funny. You know, here's the outcome of all of this is my dumping zone. Other people have wardrobes and things like that. I have a shelf desk. So I'm up to chapter 10 in Harry Potter, and Chris, my boyfriend, is up to chapter 20, which is just, that's unacceptable. It's either I'm in front or this is not happening. So tonight we're going to be reading, how much reading is that? Tonight I want to get to chapter 20. Right, in order to catch up, I've got to read that. But it's Harry Potter and I've read it 100 million times before. I think I can do that. We're halfway there. I'm up to chapter 15 out of the goal of getting to chapter 20 for tonight. So likelihood of me getting to chapter 20, I've made a good dent in this now. Probably not super high, but we're going to keep trying. I will keep you updated to let you know if I make it. It's the 8th of March and I thought I think I owe you a little bit of an update. I really don't know when the last time was that I checked in. I was expecting a little bit more of a quick start to the month in terms of finishing off books. Instead, I have just started so many in a row. So I got waylaid because I'm reading a book for work, so I'll show you that book. And for the usual reasons, I won't be reviewing this, but I will show you what I'm reading. So I've been reading The Smuggler's Curse by Norman Jorgensen, which is the first book in a duology. So yeah, I have been reading this. This is one of the books on our backlist at work, and one that I've just been wanting to read. So I have, for other reasons, decided to pick that up now and try and finish that this week. So I really should have this read by now, but I'm about half of. It's probably about a third of the way through. In any case, this is middle grade adventure with pirates, so it is actually quite easy reading. I'm just really short on time at the moment. And the other update I have for you, can't remember how far I was through my last update, but I'm coming up to the halfway mark in The Goblet of Fire, she says, with massive rounding up in page numbers there. I have fallen behind Chris and I'll read along. So I'm currently in chapter 18 and he's made it to 26. And that was a massive effort to try and catch up when he got to 20. But again, I just really don't have much time, which means I'm also sort of stalling on Malice. I'm still in the beginning-ish, so I've read up to page 115 of this one, and I'm really excited to read more of it, really reminding me of the bells. But yeah, so that's sort of where I'm at. I'm all over the place. I'm getting close to the end of the second Bridgerton book, and I'm really, really not liking it. I really came close to DNFing it, but I've decided to persevere. Yeah, I've just been really busy. It's been content creation week for me. There's been a lot of other stuff going on, which has been related to my research with uni. All sorts of things are happening with that, which has been really exciting, but it's been keeping me busy. So I'm hoping that once I get through the next few days, things will calm down and I'll have a little bit more time for reading, and then hopefully, probably in a good handful of days, I'll be able to check back in with maybe all 3 of these books finished, but who knows? We will see what happens. So it's now the 12th of March, and I can finally say that I finished a book. So I finished reading The Smuggler's Curse, so that is another book ticked off. I've had, as I said previously, a bit of a weird reading week where I haven't got much read, so that was great to finish that. In terms of where I'm at in The Goblet of Fire, I'm still sort of, I think, pretty much where I was last time we checked in. I haven't read any more of Malice, but I do have some other reading plans for this weekend. Because I am planning on doing a 24-hour readathon, which I'll be linking for you guys, providing it goes up, which I'm going to try and get it to go up. So I'm going to be doing a 24-hour readathon. So I have these 3 books here. I just went out to go and get A Vow So Bold and Deadly, which you saw, because I won Forging Silver into Stars, which is the next book in this sort of universe, but I still have these 2 to read. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do a 24-hour readathon, which I have never done before because I find them very inconvenient and impossible to do if you have full-time work, etc. So I'm going to leave a link up above because it should have already come out, so you may have already seen this and know how it goes, or if you've missed it, you can pause this video or watch it after, do whatever you want, and check out how the 24-hour readathon went for these 3 books. That's the attempt, is to read these 3, which of course may not happen. I may get one read, I may get none read, but I'm gonna just vlog a separate video for the next 24 hours, so you can see what happens there. And I'm going to keep you posted with sort of a realistic attempt at what a 24-hour readathon looks like when, you know, yeah, in the constraints of full-time work and the fact that I will be seeing my sister tonight and things like that. I don't really have time. This is the quietest 24-hour patch I'm going to have. So that's my update for you. Oh no, I did finish Bridgerton. I have to update you on that. So I finished Bridgerton, the second book, and I rated it a solid 2 stars. I really disliked the book. I found it a horrible example of relationships. Anthony was such a nasty person and was consistently horrible to Kate, they are the 2 main characters in this one. Whilst I found book 1 quite tolerable, I think I rated it 3 or 4 stars. I had no issues with that book that stopped me from enjoying it. However, with this one, I just found Anthony to be really horrible and very, you know, woman-hating and just not very nice and very self-centered. And it is obviously a romance book and obviously involves quite a lot of sex, and I felt like his main character, like, identity was him pursuing the women who didn't easily give themselves to him, which in this case was Kate. However, it didn't even come with the satisfaction of Kate, you know, consistently or firmly standing up to him when he clearly wants her for those reasons. It was sort of like she'd be angry with him and then he would say something nice and she'd forgive him instantly. So I just found it very weak. I found the characters very unlikable. I found the story implausible and just perpetuating really bad standards. It has me really concerned, the number of people that love this. I think they've done a really great job with the TV series from what I've seen, for, you know, making it less problematic and a little bit nicer and more realistic. So yeah, a bit worried about people who are loving the relationship between Anthony and Kate, because that's not a healthy relationship and not something you should be, you know, pursuing. So in any case, I finished that and I'm so glad to be done with it, and I've started reading Sense and Sensibility via audiobook. I hadn't actually planned to do that. I accidentally started reading that book and then I was planning to read the Dictionary of Lost Words next, or listen to it, and yeah, I accidentally clicked on Sense and Sensibility and just submitted to my fate there. But I am actually loving it so far, so I've probably read 15 to 20% of it, just in car rides listening to it, and I think my comprehension is equally boosted and hindered by the audiobook in the terms of I have a better comprehension for understanding the tone with the way it's read out, because I really struggled with Pride and Prejudice when I read that in physical format. But again, obviously, because I'm driving, the comprehension of literally what they are saying is harder to multitask and process. So it's like almost a win and in some ways a little bit of a drawback. But in any case, I will check in again soon when I have more updates for you. So I'm checking in on the 13th of March to say that I managed to read 2 books since we last checked in. I didn't make it to Forging Silver into Stars, but nonetheless, I am very impressed that I managed to get through 2 books, which means I've now finished this first trilogy in this universe, which is really exciting. It sounds like Forging Silver into Stars is just effectively going to be book 4, but this is classified as a trilogy in and of itself, so that's really exciting. Some updates to give. It's the 20th of March. It's nearly 10 in the morning on a Sunday, and I have finally finished a couple of books actually. So last time we checked in, so over the week, I've been reading Sense and Sensibility, and I loved it, and I finished that a couple of days ago. Actually, I finished it on Friday. So I rated that 5 out of 5 stars, and I just can't get over how much I have loved reading that book, considering how much I hated reading Pride and Prejudice. So it's really making me think I might, first of all, reread Pride and Prejudice at some point, and maybe actually read Jane Austen's other stuff. I've always been a big fan of Sense and Sensibility because I loved the movie since I was a little kid. I love Alan Rickman, Emma Thompson, Hugh Grant, Kate Winslet. It's just all the good actors in that film, and I've always been obsessed with it. It's been in my top 3 films forever and ever and ever. But yeah, I've never read it because I got so scared that I would hate it like I did with Pride and Prejudice. Not that it's ruined the film for me, but I just didn't enjoy the reading experience. However, not the case at all. I was really blown away with Jane Austen's command of the language and the way that she can summarize things and express really complicated thoughts and portray her characters so well. I was so impressed with it. It was a joy to read, and I listened to the audiobook, which I think was the right decision. It's narrated, the one I listened to is narrated by Rosamund Pike, I'm pretty sure she's the one who plays Jane in Pride and Prejudice alongside Keira Knightley, for context. And she was lovely to listen to, but it also meant that in the cases where I might not have known how a sentence was delivered, the audiobook obviously provided that context, so I could have that extra layer of meaning for the witty sarcasm that's not quite so obvious to a modern reader or someone unfamiliar with Jane Austen. So anyway, loved that, and I'm actually really keen to reread it in physical format and just pick up on things I missed out. But that aside, I then finished reading The Goblet of Fire, so I have ticked that one off now as well. That was just phenomenal to revisit and so much fun to read alongside Chris. So we've been mostly debating the morals of Snape, as one always does when you read it, and we've been watching films as well to just sort of decide which version of Snape we like more. And I think we both prefer Alan Rickman's portrayal of him because he's just slightly less of a bully than he is in the books. But nonetheless, the book is fantastic, and I'm really excited to be moving on and reading the Order of the Phoenix in the near future because that is my favourite book in the series. Other than that, I think that's all the updates I have. I'm over halfway through Malice now, so I'm going to be continuing reading this today. This is really good, so I'm excited to see how this wraps up and finishes because it's just fantastic. But yeah, I think other than that, I will check in with you later. Okay, so it's the evening of the 21st of March now, so the month is ticking by and slipping by me, but I have just finished reading Malice. This was honestly such a big book. This is 460 or 70 pages, 470 pages long, and it's a really tall book, but I finished it and it was 5 stars. This was incredible. I loved this retelling because I kind of really wasn't sure where it was going to go with the whole Sleeping Beauty and Maleficent retelling. And I have to say, I found a lot of things quite unexpected in a really, really great way. This is sort of like Sleeping Beauty meets The Bells, which is a really, really cool combination. And it had a wonderful sapphic relationship in it as well. And that was just to die for. So yeah, 5-star read for me. So glad I finally got around to reading this. It was 100% worth it, and I am so keen for the sequel. This is going to be a duology, so I'm really excited to see where that goes, which means that I am now pushing on to try and get through as many of the rest of that TBR as I can. So I am going to be reading Reignited next, which is lovely and tiny. So this is the novella by Colleen Houck, my favourite, my love, and I can't remember where this sits in the series, so I am going to need to remind myself. I think this is just straight up a prequel, so before everything, which hopefully won't take me long to read. I think it'll be the backstory for the two brothers, and it might just be what I need to kind of get myself back into this world, because I still have the final book to read, so I may need to reread the rest of the series. Anyway, I don't have to worry about that now. All I'm worrying about is getting through this, and I am fully expecting to just love this, so I will let you know when I get to the end of it. I'm not long out of the pool, hence me wearing a towel and a bathing suit, but I've had an idea and I wanted to share it with you whilst it's fresh in my mind. I've got quite a few review copies that I want to get to, but I've also still got like pretty much the whole TBR for March to get to. So I'm concocting a new plan for tackling my review copies. So today I received all of these, and 2 of them are for review, but there's also this book. So these titles are sort of my priority review titles going on here, and they're all actually really decent chunky books, particularly The Nurse's War, but I'm so excited to read The Nurse's War. And so I'm trying to work out, without it feeling like I just have to abandon my TBR to get to these, how can I get to them? Because I'm really excited about Fiona Lowe. I really love the sound of everyone in my family has killed somebody, and I'm so keen to read Nurse's War. So I'm thinking that plan of action might be that every day I try and read 50 pages from each. Because that's quite a big ask, or at least 50 pages from one. So if we look at them, I really should have just waited till I got dressed, but so this is nearly 600 pages. So that means it's going to take me 12 days to finish this. Now I'm not worried about finishing these within March, but I do want to finish them within the near future. So if I do 50 pages of this a day, within 2 weeks I'll be finished. That's not bad. If I do 50 pages of A Strange Family of Strangers, this is about 550 pages, so it'll take me somewhere between 10 days and 2 weeks. I can't be bothered doing the specific maths, so still we're looking towards the 2-week mark. Now, everyone in my family has killed someone. This has a fake cover on the front, I love it. This one is under 400, so this is 370 pages, so I'm looking at just over a week to get this done at 50 pages a day. So, you know, in addition to the other reading I want to do, and I don't know how realistic this is, but in addition to the other reading I want to do, I thought that this would be an interesting experiment to see how I go over the next week, perhaps to see if I can do 50 of just one, or of all, or of 2 of them, and actually just have these on the go to try and get them done. So I wanted to update you on that plan, and we'll see how I go, but for now I'm going to go and have a bath and get out of my swimsuit because it's like nearly 7 p.m. It's an outrageous time to be in a bathing suit. So it's the next day, it's like the 23rd of March or something like that, and I wanted to do a couple of updates for you because I have finished reading Reignited. So this is the little novella. I ended up reading it 4 stars. I sort of enjoyed this, and both was like distracted by the fact that I just couldn't remember the series, so I can't remember how this is relevant to the series. Because it's a prequel, so I was trying to remember like I know that this is just like superfluous to the story and sort of setting up a few like aha moments in like the 2nd and 3rd book, I think, but I don't remember. Nonetheless, the first half of this was a little bit slow, and it's a novella, so maybe that's not brilliant, but it picked up more towards the end, and then like the stuff that went down, because this is all about Egyptian gods, was really cool. And like I don't find that there's that many retellings about Egyptian gods. It's always Greek mythology. That was really fun, and towards the end it was just like totally epic, and probably much more reminiscent of how I usually feel for the entirety of Colleen Houck's books. Nonetheless, off the back of reading this, I feel a little bit deflated because I think I'm going to have to reread the whole series. I say whole, it's just 3 books. I've read books 1 and 2, and I have just not been getting around to picking up 3 because I'm so bad at finishing series. But yeah, I think it's going to be another reread job, which is the same position I'm in with Throne of Glass, same position I'm in with Tiger's Curse, and I just feel like this keeps happening to me. So I'm trying really hard to not fall so behind on my series, like so far behind that I'm having to reread everything. But in any case, I enjoyed this, but mixed feelings because of the reread realization, and just not remembering things probably hindered my reading experience through that. Anyway, other updates is that I am fairly certain I will be finishing the Dictionary of Lost Words by the end of the month. I believe I said I started that audiobook. It's the audiobook I've been listening to. It's really, really great, and it's really making me fall in love with my own job because it's about the editing world and it's about words. And obviously I am a book editor, so it's really lovely to see your own career sort of romanticised in a book. It's been really satisfying to read from that perspective. I also started my little mission to read 50 pages of my review copies a day, but I could not do 50 pages from all 3 books. That was very ambitious, and I simply don't have the time, not on a weeknight anyway. So I started with everyone in my family has killed someone, which I'm really excited about, and is coming out at the very end of March. And I've done 2 days worth of readings. This is 100 pages in so far. This is the one that's about 350 pages, so I'm actually making good progress. Really enjoying this. It's so funny and I'm laughing out loud, but I'm also terrified. It is obviously a murder mystery, and because this is super heavy-handed foreshadowing and it's meant to be like a reliable narrator where you know from the beginning which pages the murders happen on, etc, etc, all that kind of stuff is really set up, makes it a bit fun. But I don't like reading this kind of stuff late at night, so I've had to put myself on a limit as to how late at night I can read this. So I usually try and read this just after getting home from work, and then I do let myself read after like 8 or 9 p.m. just because depending on where I get up to, sometimes it can be like one of the murder scenes or discovering a body, and it's just a bit like, not what I want to read before I go to bed. But the actual writing style itself and the voice of the narrator is so funny, and I have honestly been laughing out loud so much. So I am looking forward to continuing this and like piecing the mystery together. So that's how far I am with that one. And then this is all just chaos. And then that means that the next book I'm going to start is Poison Study. So I haven't started reading this so far. I've just picked out my bookmark and popped it in the front. So this will be my challenge book for the month that I will be rereading. I'm expecting this to be a super fast read because it is familiar, even though I haven't read it for like over 10 years. So I will be struggling to remember things from this, but I'm so looking forward to going back into this, and a little bit nervous that because I'm so much older reading it that I might not feel the same as I did when I first read it back in my early teens, but I am really hoping that I do. So yeah, looking forward to starting this and curious to see how it goes. I have big reading plans for the week. So it's a Thursday today and I'm looking forward to Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Reasonably quiet, so I am planning to like smash through this and read another 1 or 2 books over the weekend, which is really ambitious for me, but I do really want to get around to them as we've got 1 week left of March, and I still have 3 other books after Poison Study on my TBR. One big non-fiction of Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, the Guernsey Literary Potato Peel Pie Society book, which I feel is the one lowest on my priority, and then This Is Where the World Ends. I'd quite like to get to. The plan is Poison Study, This Is Where the World Ends, and then Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, and then the Guernsey, maybe. We'll see. I'm not going to get them all done. I know I'm not going to get them all done, so we'll just see how I go. In 20 minutes, and this is the current state of my desk, so I'm gonna have to do another magical show where I try and fit it into my bookshelves, in which there is like really no room left. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing today, this morning. So I think it's now like the 27th of March. Okay, I don't know what the exact date is. It's somewhere around the 27th of March. It's a Sunday. And I'm just sort of feeling a bit slumpy. I'm not sure what I want to do today. I had such a chill weekend with nothing planned, which in theory sounds wonderful, but mostly just ends up with me not knowing what to do with myself. So I have been reading, and I have read not quite half of Poison Study, and I really want to be like closer to the end of it than I am. So I've decided to rejuvenate my spirits. I am going to go to my favourite book exchange bookshop called Pulp Fiction, and I'm going to swap in all of these books. This little collection of books here. So I'm going to get some credit for those, and I'm going to see if there's anything worth picking up as well. So yeah, I'm just going to have a small excursion to the shops, and then I'm going to probably do a bit more reading. I've been trying to work on some writing projects this morning. I've recently just acquired Scrivener, which is a writing software. Yeah, I don't know. We're going to go to the shops and we're going to see how we feel afterwards, and then we'll work out what we want to do going forwards from there. back from the bookstore and I've had a great little sweeps, which I just wanted to show you quickly, which you just saw, but I picked up The Christie Affair, which is about the 11 days in 1926 when Agatha Christie went missing. So I think it's a bit of a mystery historical fiction, which I have been really excited about. It's one of the new releases I've had my eye on, so this is a new release. So I was very excited to see it in the bookstore. It's a secondhand book exchange store, basically. And then I also traded for The Swift and the Harrier by Minette Waters. This one I've just seen around quite a lot. This is set in the 17th century in England during a civil war that broke out in 1642, and I've been really keen to read this one. This is an era that I'm really interested in reading more on, especially as I am British and I would like to know more about my country's history. So that was exciting. And then I picked up something that's totally epic, which you didn't see because I saw it last minute, and it was a hardback box set for A Darker Shade of Magic. So this is like mint condition, and the trilogy was going for like such a discount because it was secondhand. And so that was so exciting to be able to trade in all these books I was interested in reading, get store credit, and come out with something as great a treasure as this. So I can finally say that I have A Darker Shade of Magic, the full trilogy, on my bookshelves. So that's really exciting. So yeah, I'm feeling more excited about life having gone to the bookstore, and I'm going to just chill out and probably just read and watch TV for the rest of the day now because that's where my energy levels are at. It's the 28th of March, it's the next day. I just wanted to give a small update. It's Monday today, because I don't honestly know what book, if any, I'm going to finish before the month is out now, because I'm just in the middle of so many, which is exactly what I feel like doing, as I worked out the other day. So I thought I would just run you through where I'm at with everything, and I'll try and give you almost daily updates in this last week of March, last few days, to see which books I got around to. There are still quite a few books. It's 3 books I haven't started off my TBR. And I really wanted to get to the non-fiction one, the Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. It's looking less likely. Such is life, I guess. I'm doing my best. So in terms of Poison Study, I am over halfway through here. So I am on page 230 of somewhere around 400. This is quite easy to read when I get into like my rhythm with it, but as I just was feeling a bit slumpy over the weekend, I haven't made super massive progress on this like I thought I would. I thought I would do so much more reading this weekend than I have. But alas, there I am. I know I'll at least finish that before the month's out. I also have a couple of hours left to go in the Dictionary of Lost Words, which is the audiobook I'm listening to. I am pretty sure I'm going to finish that by the end of the month. If all things go to plan, I'm pretty sure I have enough trips left to and from work where I'll be listening to it that I will just get that in on time. I have been sticking to like my 50 pages a day of Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. So tonight I'm trying to get towards page 200 and I'm currently on page 175. This is still brilliant and I'm still loving it. But yeah, this was a really weirdly satisfying challenge to give myself, was to just try and knock out 50 pages, which is honestly a little bit of a challenge with this one because it's big books, lots of words on a page, and not always super quick to read just because there's a lot of information I'm processing sometimes. But yes, so Everyone in My Family's Killed Someone, maybe, I don't know. Going by my maths, 28, 29, 30, 31, I'll be able to do another 150 pages, and we're at page 200. I think I'll be like 50 to 100 pages short of finishing this, so it'll be finished off in early April, and that's fine. I've also been rotating through some other books, like I really have been chaos with my reading, so I have actually been trying to regularly pick up A Court of Silver Flames, and just read like 20 or 30 pages here and there. So honestly, will I ever finish this? Who knows, but I'm now up to page 150. Out of a million. So yeah, I don't, obviously this isn't going to get finished in March, but I'm just, before I go to bed, I'm just trying to read like, yeah, 20 or 30 pages just so that I'm ticking on with it. And I think that might actually be it. So yeah, that's my update for today as to where I'm at. I still, yeah, I'm still in the delusional part of, oh, it's not really as late in the month as it is, and feel like I'll be able to start the other book, but I mean, I don't know. I'm going to do more reading tonight. I do want to do more writing. It feels way too late to do any writing, so maybe I'll just focus on reading, because I guess if I do finish this, I'll at least start the non-fiction one. Who knows? Stay tuned and you're going to find out. Quick update before I go to work. It's the next day. It's the 29th of March. We are rapidly getting towards the end of the month. And I feel like I'm a lot further along my reading than like I sort of said I was last night. So just going off what I managed to read in the evening and this morning with Poison Study, I've now ticked over a little bit more. So I've got like less than 100 pages to go. Will I finish it today? I don't know. I will be taking this book with me to work and I will be reading it on my lunch break. I also finished reading the 50 pages that I allocated myself yesterday, so I'm at page 200 in Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, and I only have an hour to go of the Dictionary of Lost Words, so depending on how good or bad traffic is today on the drive to work, I might actually finish that today, which would be very exciting. So that's where we're at. Super quick update just before I head into work. It's the 30th of March. We've like 2 days to go, and I'm pleased to say I finished 2 more books. So I finished listening to the Dictionary of Lost Words yesterday. It was really good. I'm rating it 5 stars. It was quite a sad ending, so I feel like I'm still like in shock from how the author decided to wrap that story up, but I think it was really great and it was a lovely feminist piece of writing, so I really enjoyed it and I highly recommend it if you want to learn more about the history of the creation of the Oxford English Dictionary, and also just a nice snapshot of women's places during that time, to around World War One. This morning I finished rereading Poison Study. That was brilliant. I can't believe how much of it I can't remember, so I'm so glad that I reread it, because honestly most of the book I couldn't remember. I could only remember the first scene. I love that book so much. There is also like a bit of a twist with like potentially some trans rep in this book, which I don't recall from last time. I don't know if it's intended as trans, but that's just like an FYI. There's like some great representation in this book that I wasn't expecting. But yeah, of it, 5 stars, bloody love it. Still one of my favorite books. So great, has stood the test of time. 10 years later, rereading it, still as good as it was the first read. So I'm really excited to continue the series going forwards. Right, I need to go to work, so I'll check in later. It's the evening of the same day and I'm at an impasse as to what to read tonight. I really want to continue reading the murder book, but I'm this far and it's actually not, it's like weirdly not a super fast read. It feels like it takes me a long time to get through each page, but I want to know what happens. But there's no way, depending on how much time I have after work tomorrow, because there's only 1 day left in the month, I don't think I'll finish this in time. So the logical step, which is not very logical, is do I start Maybe You Should Talk to Someone? I'm really tempted. It has such small font. I mean, like, I kind of just want to start it because once I start a book, I'll finish it, and I don't want to put this one back on the shelf. I really want to read it. And I saw someone talking about it today as well on YouTube, which put it back at the front of my mind. So do I start this with basically 1 day left to read, knowing full well that I'm not going to have enough time to finish this? I think I will do that, because I do have a rule where I don't read this one like before bedtime, because it's a bit intense and scary, so maybe I should finish the day with something a little bit more gentle. As a side note, I started listening to Stolen Focus, which is this book. It's the next audiobook I plan to pick up, and that is absolutely amazing so far, so it does mean I'm going to be double dipping on the non-fiction, but I think I'm going to do it. Well, we made it to the end of March, so I'm here to wrap up this video and this vlog. Thanks for sticking around and seeing what I got to in March. I had a really great reading month and I'm so excited about it, so let's just quickly go over everything. So I read a whopping 11 books in March, which is the most I have read for a long time. I think I had 1 month in 2021 where I read 11 books, and I'm thrilled to say I read 11, because this time last year I fell into an epic reading slump and read 2 books, so this is a vast improvement. I am definitely tracking ahead of my Goodreads goal for the year. I think I'm like 6 or 7 books ahead, so we're gonna be aiming at least for the 90 sort of book count at the end of the year if I keep this up. So I read Addie LaRue, which I rated 5 stars, and it was amazing, and I'm so glad I read it, and I did the audiobook. I then finished The Viscount Who Loved Me, which is the second Bridgerton book, and I hated it. I rated it 1 star, and I just found it extraordinarily problematic and cannot believe people are loving the books. But the TV series is a different question. TV series is great. We're going to be talking about that in a separate video in the future. I then read a book for work, which was The Smuggler's Curse, which I won't be rating or reviewing. I then did a 24-hour readathon, and I finished the A Curse So Dark and Lonely trilogy. So I read A Heart So Fierce and Broken and A Vow So Bold and Deadly. Rated both of them 5 stars. Was actually surprised that I loved both of them that much. It was quite nerve-wracking continuing series, but that was just an incredible series, and Bridget Cameron writes so well. So it's got me really excited to read 2 of her other books that I've got on my TBR. Then listened to the audiobook of Sense and Sensibility. I've just been having a great time with audiobooks, and oh my gosh, can't believe how much I loved it. Honestly, that is just landed into my all-time favorites category. I think Addie LaRue might have as well. But yeah, Sense and Sensibility was just amazing to read, and I love it. And it's actually made me want to try and reread Pride and Prejudice via audiobook with Rosamund Pike narrating, because it was such an enjoyable experience. I then read The Goblet of Fire along with my boyfriend, and that was just so much fun to reread, and I really loved it. Obviously, this is like in the favorites for me and always going to be a 5-star read. The Goblet of Fire is just so much fun. Then I finished the first book on my TBR, so we got quite distracted in the first bit there, and it felt like a really slow start to the reading month, and then from this point onwards I just sort of really picked it up. And that first book was Malice by Heather Walter, so that is a Sleeping Beauty retelling, which I rated 5 stars. Loved it, loved the queer rep in it, and just thought it was such a brilliant reimagining of that tale. Then I read the second book on my TBR, which was Reignited, and that was interesting. I rated it 4 stars. I realised that I don't really remember much from this series, which is the Reawaken series by Colleen Houck. One of my favourite series, one of my favourite authors is Egyptian mythology retold, but it's been a long time since I read book 1 and 2, so I think a reread is going to be on the cards when I next get around to like theoretically continuing the series. I think I'm going to have to start again. I then finished like my 4th audiobook for the month, which is just crazy. Is that right? 1, 2, 3. Yes, it is my 4th audiobook for the month, because I finished Addie LaRue at the very beginning of March. And that was The Dictionary of Lost Words, which I also rated 5 stars. I found this to be beautiful and feminist and quite sad, and a very surprising ending, I thought, but I really did enjoy the reading experience and the history that you got to learn about with the suffragettes and the creation of the Oxford English Dictionary. Thought that was really cool, and I did quite like the audiobook as well. The final book I managed to finish in the month was Poison Study, which was the 3rd book on my TBR, and it was a reread. So glad I reread it. It has been nearly 10 years since I first read the book, and I was toying up just continuing the series without doing a reread, and I'm so glad I didn't, because I didn't remember anything. So it was like I managed to achieve the magical thing where it was like reading it again for the first time. I just didn't remember anything. So those were the 11 books that I read. I've still got quite a few more books on the go. I'm currently reading Stolen Focus via audiobook. I'm continuing my mission to try and read like 50 pages a day or so of review copies alongside whatever else I'm reading, to just have it as like background progress. So my current book for that is Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, which I'm actually getting pretty close to finishing, so you should see me finish that at the very beginning of my April vlog. I have started Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, which is the 4th book from my March TBR, and I will be continuing that one. It's really good. I'm not too far into it, but I'm going to just knock that off at the beginning of April. I'm still making my way really slowly through A Court of Silver Flames, and I'm just trying to read little bits here and there, because I just keep not actually making any time for it. So hopefully by the end of the year, maybe I'll have finished it. Who knows? And I think those are all the main books that are what I'm currently reading. I have 2 books left from the TBR, which was the Guernsey Literary Potato Peel Pie Society and the This Is Where the World Ends. So those are the 2 I didn't get to. At the moment, I'm currently stacking all the books I didn't get to throughout the year from my TBRs in one location, and I'm toying with the idea that maybe in the future I'll do a special TBR where I try and read the ones I didn't get to earlier in the year. So I'm just sort of setting them aside, but that's how it went. So overall, I'm like so happy with my reading, so pleased with how many books I got to, and all the books were just on the whole pretty good. So I'm really looking forward to April, and I'm already getting excited at the prospects of May, which will be the special TBR month for my birthday. So stay tuned. But other than that, that's everything for today. So I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.
Alla gloria mia.